Hey, welcome. Whether you're trying to build a product, a company, or really just a better version of yourself, there's this one core idea that powers all success: the idea of getting just a little bit better every single day. So today, we're going to dive into the philosophy of continuous improvement and explore how you can actually use it to hit your goals. So, what is the secret, right? How do these top tier organizations and individuals just seem to be constantly leveling up? Well, here's the thing: it's not about one giant leap. It's about a consistent, dedicated mindset of always moving forward. At its core, every single business is on a quest for quality. It's this universal challenge of constantly needing to improve, well, everything: the products you sell, the processes you use to make them, and even the culture of the organization itself. And this isn't some problem you solve just once, it's a commitment to being in a perpetual state of getting better. And the answer to that quest is this very concept: continuous improvement. Now, what's really important to get here is that it embraces two different paths: those small, steady steps forward, but also those big, game-changing leaps. It's a philosophy that really covers all the different ways of improving. The great quality pioneer Kaworu Ishikawa really said it best. This isn't about reaching some finish line called perfect. I mean, let's be real. Perfection is impossible. The real goal is to be in a constant state of advancement, to always be moving forward. So, right at the heart of continuous improvement is this incredibly powerful Japanese philosophy that has totally reshaped industries all over the world. It is, by far, the most influential, people-focused way to make things better. It's called Kaizen. Let's just break down the word itself, because it's pretty cool. Kai means change, and Zen means good. So literally, change for the better. But honestly, the most crucial part of this whole philosophy is that it involves everyone. This is not some top-down memo from management. It's a cultural promise from the entire organization. And the history of this idea is just fascinating. It actually grew out of post-war Japan's need to rebuild its industries, and it was heavily influenced by American thinkers like W. Edwards Deming. Then it was kind of reintroduced to the West back in the 80s and became this global phenomenon. It just goes to show how powerful a simple idea can be. Okay, so how do you actually do Kaizen? It's not just a vibe, it's a real process. This cycle right here, this is the engine of Kaizen. It's a repeatable process that turns the philosophy into actual, concrete action. So let's walk through how this thing works. Notice how it starts with getting people involved. That's not the last step, it's the very first one. From there, you figure out the problems, you brainstorm solutions, you test them out on a small scale, and you measure the impact. If it works, great, you make it the new standard. And if not, you've learned something valuable and you can start the cycle all over again. But you have to remember, Kaizen is a mindset first and a process second. These principles are its foundation. It's about letting go of old assumptions and just refusing to accept the status quo. It's about being proactive, like asking why 5 times to really dig down to the root cause of a problem. But ultimately, it's all about creating an environment where every single person feels empowered to use their creativity to find those small, low-cost improvements. And of course, to never, ever stop improving. Okay, so to make all this work, you need some practical tools. One of the most fundamental engines for any kind of continuous improvements, including Kaizen, is a simple but incredibly powerful 4-step cycle. So, meet the Deming cycle, also known as PDCA. It comes from the legendary W. Edwards Deming, and it's basically a continuous feedback loop that gives you a structured, almost scientific way to make things better. And it is beautifully simple. First, you plan a change. Then you do it, ideally as a small-scale experiment. Next, you check the results. Did it actually work? And finally, you act. You either standardize the change that worked, or you take what you learned from the attempt and you start a new plan. It's really just the scientific method, but for business. Now, while Kaizen's small, steady steps are incredibly powerful, they are not the only way to improve. Sometimes you don't just need an evolution, you need a revolution. And this brings us to the 2 main paths of improvement. So on one side, you've got Kaizen, gradual, inclusive, and pretty low risk. And on the other, you have breakthrough improvement, radical, expert-led, and definitely higher risk, but with the potential for massive gains. Now, it's really important to remember these two aren't enemies. Think of Kaizen as your daily fitness routine. It keeps the organization healthy and agile. A breakthrough, on the other hand, is like major surgery. You use it to fix a big systemic problem. A classic example of that breakthrough approach is Six Sigma. It uses the super rigorous data-driven methodology, DMAIC, which stands for Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, and Control, to tackle chronic problems and get performance to be nearly defect-free. It's like a structured sprint towards a massive improvement. So, we've talked about the philosophy, the cycles, the tools, but at the end of the day, all of this comes back to culture and people. So, why does adopting this mindset of continuous improvement really truly matter? Well, the benefits are just profound. When everyone feels empowered to make things better, morale and job satisfaction just shoot up. You start to systematically get rid of waste, or muda, as it's known in Kaizen, and that naturally leads to lower costs, higher efficiency, way better products, and of course, happier customers. I think this quote from W. Edwards Deming really captures the whole spirit of it. It's not a project with an end date. The commitment is to constantly and forever improve the system. It's about being in a permanent state of becoming better. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. Forget about overhauling everything all at once. What is one small, good change, one Kaizen, that you or your team could make today that might just start a really powerful ripple effect?